This is Valley News Live at 5.
Good afternoon, everyone. There's confusion surrounding Pfizer's COVID-19 booster shots. Who can get one and should they get one? Valley News Team's JC Dodd breaks down what you need to know.
It is certainly confusing.
The CDC announced late last week the recommendation for some Americans to receive a COVID-19 booster shot. They say those who should get a third shot include people who received the Pfizer vaccine at least 6 months ago in the following groups: those over 65, nursing home residents, and people ages 50 to 64 with chronic health problems. Some people like Vicki Wang say they were excited to get the first shot.
And so we just hightailed it over there and got in line. And believe it or not, there were a few people that beat us to it.
But for others like Cindy Lample, they don't have any plans to get a booster once it's available to them. Lample says her doctor recommended the one-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine since she has experienced side effects from other vaccines in the past.
Purposely, because it was a one-shot thing.
But after more than a week of side effects, she says,
So I don't know, is a booster going to be worth it for me? Because if I was that sick this time, will I be like that again? And I have to weigh that with what might happen.
The CDC also says people 18 and older with an increased risk of health problems or exposure to COVID-19 while at work may also get the booster shot.
They do it on purpose because if we really narrow it down to little nuances or really get picky about, what age and things, it can cause for a lot of issues of people just not wanting to get vaccinated because it can be difficult for healthcare providers to be able to provide that vaccine.
Whether the COVID-19 vaccine will become a yearly recommendation like the flu shot, experts say only time will tell.
COVID is not going to go away. And so we're just figuring out the best possible way that we can protect people long term, whether that be a booster dose, and then we're done with it, or could be a yearly thing like we're seeing with influenza.
In Fargo, JC Dodd, Valley News Live.
Wang also tells us after the first 2 doses of the Pfizer vaccine, she felt fine. But after getting the booster shot on Friday, Wang also says she was surprised to have some side effects and spent Saturday recovering at home.
Ached and had no energy and just weren't up to par. So that was a little surprising to us. But now we're back on track.
To see where booster shots are available, go to our website at valleynewslive.com and click on this story. Meanwhile, President Biden rolled up his sleeve today to get his booster shot. He's urging those of you who are eligible to get one as soon as you can. He's also still asking Americans to get their first shot.
Bottom line is that you're fully vaccinated and you're highly protected now from severe illness, even if you get COVID-19. You're safe, and we're going to do everything we can to keep it that way with the booster.
On Friday, the White House said that it has enough supply for every eligible American to receive the Pfizer booster. So far, 20 million Americans are eligible for the booster after reaching the 6-month mark following their second dose. We're a month into the new school year locally, and COVID-19 cases have increased among the metro schools. There are a number of cases with students. Fargo has 178, West Fargo 232, Moorhead 163. Fargo and Moorhead have masking policies, while West Fargo does not. These are the recent cases from just last week. Fargo with 77, West Fargo with 90, Moorhead with 29. And while we're at it, here's a reminder of testing locations. In Cass County, Fargo Cass Public Health has testing from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. today through Friday. Pre-registration is required. In Clay County, testing at the former Thomas Edison Elementary School is from 11 in the morning to 6 p.m. today through Thursday. Yes, we struggled for quite a stretch of this summer with the weather and the drought conditions, but I think we're making up some ground now. Another nice fall day to enjoy. Let's find out about tonight. Hutch?
Thanks, Mike. Good evening, everyone. Temperatures to start the work week a little cooler than our sizzling Sunday in the mid-80s. Right now, a look at our Dakota Magic Casino camera at the Dakota Winds Golf Course. Very beautiful and green there, with regular bouts with some beneficial showers of rain. Right now, here's a look at your temperatures. We have low to mid-70s for much of our Minnesota viewing area, and near 80 here in the Red River Valley in both Grand Forks and Fargo. The heat is on out to the west. Look at that. 90s in the central and western portion of the Dakotas, and that heat energy is going to be working its way towards us. The hottest day of the forecast period will be tomorrow for many. But for this evening, get out and enjoy. We'll be in the 70s through sunset. And then after that, we'll be in the comfortable 60s. It'll be breezy from the south in both Fargo and Grand Forks for your evening. Overnight, we don't get too cold. I'll talk to you a little bit later about how hot we get on your Toasty Tuesday forecast. But we have some rain in the forecast as well, as transition begins as early as Wednesday for many of us. Details in a moment.
All right. Thanks, Hutch. The man accused of shooting and killing a Grand Forks woman earlier this month is now facing new charges in Grand Forks County Court. 26-year-old Ahmed Mohammed Abdu Ali is already facing murder and unlawful possession of a firearms charges in connection to the death of 28-year-old Megan Leah Gustafson. He is now facing new charges of attempted robbery and theft, both felonies. If convicted on all charges, he faces a maximum of life in prison without the possibility of parole. A Grand Forks man is at the center of a brutal sexual assault investigation. 53-year-old Craig Eugene Peltier is charged with a count of felony gross sexual imposition by force. He's accused of pulling a woman to a bathroom floor at a Grand Forks apartment building on August 19th and sexually assaulting her. If convicted, Peltier faces a maximum of life in prison without the possibility of parole. The woman accused of trying to run people over at her ex-boyfriend's funeral in May has now entered a guilty plea. Blair Witten was given credit for the 95 days she already served in jail. Witten still has multiple criminal cases open. She's accused of painting a Jesus statue in Fargo black and for threatening to rape a couple's dog. Witten remains out on $500 bond. The driver involved in a crash on 12th Avenue North last night has been cited for driving under the suspension and DUI. Fargo police say the driver lost control, rolled the car into the building, causing some second and third floor balconies to collapse. The driver and passenger are expected to be okay. More serious charges could be filed. Multiple people died on North Dakota roads over the weekend, and so far this year, there have been 86 deaths in the state. Officials also say most of those crashes are from people crossing into other lanes or simply driving off the road. The investigation continues into what caused a deadly train derailment in Montana. That's where 3 people were killed and dozens others injured. It happened over the weekend on the Amtrak route from Chicago to Seattle. The train was carrying 141 passengers and 17 crew members. The part of the track where the crash happened was just investigated on September 23rd as part of a regular inspection program. A federal judge said today that the man who tried to assassinate President Ronald Reagan 4 decades ago can be freed from all his remaining restrictions next year. John Hinckley Jr. will be a free man next June if he continues to follow court-issued rules and remains mentally stable. Now, the conditions include doctors and therapists overseeing psychiatric medication and deciding how often he attends therapy sessions. At his trial back in 1982, jurors decided Hinckley was suffering from acute psychosis, found him guilty by reason of insanity. Congress is headed for a showdown this weekend over President Biden's infrastructure spending priorities and for funding to keep the government open. First, the Senate will vote on a measure that would prevent a shutdown and debt default, but Republicans are vowing to block it. A separate $3.5 trillion package of social priorities like health care, education, the climate crisis, that'll all be voted on a bill to raise the country's borrowing limit and fund the government before it shuts down at midnight on Thursday.
They want to add another $5 trillion just this week. If they want to raise the debt ceiling, they have the power to do it.
We have to vote and figure out how we're going to keep the government operating. And Republicans will go, not my problem, it is their problem. It's every one of our problems.
Some Democrats have been urging President Biden to play a more active role in getting his agenda pushed through Congress. Today, he said he'll be doing just that, holding meetings tonight and through the rest of the week. With boots in hand, Grand Forks firefighters have raised more than $29,000 during their Fill the Boot drive. This money will help those with ALS and other muscle debilitating diseases. Donations help the Muscular Dystrophy Association continue services for thousands of people living with these types of diseases across the country, and to help continue funding life-saving research. If you still want to donate, you can. Find a link to do that on our website at valleynewslive.com. There's a pop-up food distribution planned for tomorrow in Moorhead. It's going to start at 4:30 until 125 boxes are gone. The setup will be in the parking lot at A Place for Hope. It's located at 2419 12th Avenue South in Moorhead. I want to take a brief moment just to remind you about an effort to help feed the hungry. Already, more than $29,000 has been raised to stock the shelves of the Great Plains Food Bank. However, our goal, much more than that, $50,000. Corwin Automotive is matching all gifts up to $50,000 made by Friday. You can find the link to donate on our website. Go to valleynewslive.com and just look for the Stock the Shelves logo. Later on Valley News Live at 5, one of the airlines that serves Fargo and Grand Forks gets hit hard by a federal fine. We'll tell you how much and why.
Rise and shine on a Monday, and you see this, you know the week is starting off right. Temperatures today rose from the 40s to 80 degrees in Fargo Moorhead, and it gets even hotter. A toasty Tuesday, but rain in the forecast as well. Your hour-by-hour details are next.
Valley